Hey everyone, back again. Yes, thank Potty, it's Friday. We're here, myself and Mark, to ease you into that weekend, that weekend of toil. If you're in the God, we're here to just gently push you into there or just chill out. How are you doing, Mark? Are you good? Are you well?
All right, fit and healthy, yeah, doing
Good.
doing good. I was enjoying a bit of sunshine at the weekend.
Yes.
It was lovely, and the difference. Tell you the difference I found at the weekend was it was warm. Like we've had sunshine, like frosty, cold frosty
Yes.
sunshiny days, but the weekend I had my shorts on. It was beautiful. It was
Right,
a
God.
lovely day. What a
Mind
difference!
it's
Saturday and Sunday.
Well, it's come back here with a vengeance because it's cool because I've got the heating's on there now. You know what I mean? We've had
Yep.
burning firewood and everything like that.
It was a bit
So
of a fake spring, I think, wasn't it? At the weekend, it was a
been
bit
a
of
couple of
it
them little
lulled you
things.
into it.
Mark, are you ready then for this? This is a hard one. This is a hard
Oh
one.
no, not one of these again. Oh,
Monty Python or
uh-huh.
Faulty Towers?
Oh goodness. I'm probably gonna say Monty Python. I think because of the movies as well.
No, that's
I,
it for me. Exactly
and
for the, you know what I mean?
the Holy Grail. I think Monty
Uh-huh.
Python, the Holy Grail, especially like We Are the Knights Who Say Lee and the boy with the coconuts and
Aye.
all that. I think.
Life of
Ah,
Brian for me, it's just that film just is so for oh you lucky bastards, you know that. I mean that from nowhere, a spaceship picks him, chucks him around, you know what I mean? Oh you lucky
oh,
bastards.
ahead of that time. I think Monty
Yeah.
Python, the sort of like that kind of, we've talked about Vic and Bob before. That sort of alternative, off the wall kind of. It's not like your traditional stand up sort of comedy. It's completely out there, completely bizarre, isn't it? But
Oh no, and
yeah,
they kind of led the way. I mean, I suppose every comic of the day leads the way for the next
yeah,
generation kind of coming, but they certainly did. You know what I mean? They were
no,
there, and then that's where like the likes of Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie and all them,
yeah,
you know, that came from. So yes, no, that's
no.
totally agree. That's I
It's
thought
an
that would have
easy
been a
one. This,
hard one. Do you know what I mean? It was just like
no,
Faulty Towers is. You know what I mean? It was so cleverly
yeah,
done in just 2 seasons, and then he just cut it. You know what I
I
mean? And
know,
just clever. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
And we've all been to places. We've all stayed places where it's a bit like that. We used to. I remember. So when I used to play hockey, like field hockey, like
Yes.
sort of thing, and I played years and years and years and years and years. I played it for 20 years before I knackered my back and got into gardening and all that on the back of that. But we used to go to a hockey tournament in Blackpool. So every Easter, massive hockey tournament, right? And it was
Right.
when I was young, like 19, 20, 21 sort of age. So you're looking to make it as cheap as possible so you can spend all your money on beer. So we'd
Them were
book into
the
these,
days,
like,
lad.
imagine like a Blackpool bed and breakfast that's literally like 12 quid a night kind of thing. And there's like half a dozen of us in each room on bunk beds and all sorts of stuff like that. And I mind we stayed in this place, right? It was called the Great Hotel, but it was spelled GR8
Right.
Hotel. And it was like this awful bed and breakfast. And it was like all wonky inside up the stairs and that. And we were downstairs having breakfast. And my mate Ian was eating his breakfast and he just goes like, and he's eating this fried egg, and, and then this big hair just comes out of
Oh,
his nose. And then the woman who owned the place, who was cooking it, is walking out of the kitchen, bringing the breakfast out, and she turns round, and her bra is attached to the back of her jumper, just it's like hanging down. It was one of the most surreal places I've ever stayed in my life. It was,
I don't think we've ever stayed in it. Like a Blackpool B&B. We've stayed
yeah,
in some like cranky like places in where we used to go down to London a lot. Me and my
yeah,
wife and stay in King's Cross, and it was just like a bed and
mm,
breakfast kind of place there. That were just like dank, dark, hideous things. You know what I mean? When now you see the kind of adverts for the Airbnb kind of the glamping
yeah.
pods and the kind of
No.
man.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm of a sort of age, mid-40s, B&Bs, camping, nah.
Funny, we did camping last year. You'd think I'd be
Yeah,
finished with it, but then I was taught into it. You know what I mean? And it was all what I'm.
you survived.
It was just honestly. I'll tell you what was strange, though, Mark. It was like the
Yeah.
smells from camping because we used to do camping with the kids all the time. So all them grass smells and the tent smell and
Mm.
all that. I also remember selling that we had like a trailer, one of these kind of, I wouldn't say tinfoil trailers, but like aluminium trailers kind of thing. And I remember closing that lid for the last time and someone going, and there was like a little waft of like grass and tent. And I was like, I'll never get that smell. But
brings the memories back.
57-year-old and they're freaking putting up a bloody tent in the middle of, and it was August last year and it was freezing, man. And I was like, what the hell did I do?
Was that not the thing with tents? So they're not either freezing cold or boiling hot?
Oh, this was, it was cool. And do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a total different ball game now. I've got to think about, like things going on, So I was like, Melanie, I can't sleep there because I've got to sleep on that side because like pipes come out there of us, you know what I mean? And tubes come out there of us. I can't sleep that way and I need to sleep on that side. And it was just I mean, I had a good laugh. Do you know what I mean? Because it was that, it is that time where you can just sit round a fire with your friends and chat. Do you know what I mean? But it was the 1 week in August last year where there was like a sudden drop in weather, cold, and it was like, bloody freezing.
No, I'm much more these days. I'm much more of a sort of the Sheraton or the Malmaison. I don't mind. I like a lodge. I like a lodge holiday.
Oh yeah, I bet.
You've got a nice big wooden lodge or something. You got a hot tub and all that. I like that. That's
we've been watching. He's just finished his third series now. I don't know if we've mentioned on here. Robson Green, where he's been going round.
I've actually been watching it since you mentioned it.
Some lovely kind of places there. You know what I mean? Those little kind of getaways are lovely. Do you know what I mean? So
even with his dodgy accent.
It is. Comes and goes. I mean, it poshes out when he's with his family, but when he's with his kind of mates, it's just back to like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think that the last one I seen, he was away with his two sisters and his brother.
Yes,
that was the last one. I don't know if that's the last one in the
series.
Is
that one where they did some drone? They did some.
Yeah, the caricature.
Well, it's when they're actually doing the caricature. I'm thinking that's not your voice, man. You know what I mean? He's like. Irritating, lad. Put mine on. So you got on your notes there, Mark. Oh, but I'll tell you before we go there.
Yeah.
Just to put everyone out, my daughter did have a little girl, yes, on Monday. And do you know what it was, Mark? I cancelled Monday's potty mouth. It was born, I think she was born Jasmine. That's her name, Jasmine. She was born at 4:45. But we didn't know.
No.
Because I had to do all kind of things once she, popped out kind of thing.
Yeah.
We didn't know till 7:00 on the dot, which was and I was like thinking, that's a bit, you know what I mean, kind of strange. Like, we got the phone call off them and a video call there. So yes, I'm a granddad to a little girl called Jasmine, £9, I think £9.04.
Wowzers.
£9.04. And everything's fine, everything's good. It was it was a long delivery because it was all like, I mean, it's so, I'm not saying cleverly done. Obviously they know their stuff, but they bring them in early just to make sure. So there was like a lot of like, we'll check in 6 hours, we'll check in 6, and it was like, bless them, they were shattered.
Because imagine
you would think, like, Ellie had a bed, but Aidan just had this rickety chair. Do you know what I mean? Like for like over 48 hours. Do you know what I mean? It's just, and he's 6 foot. He's 6'8". He was crippled.
What?
Oh, I'm 6'7", 6'8". He's
Jesus.
He's not Jasmine. And he was just like, morning, cheers. And it's just welcome to the world of no sleep now. You know what I mean?
That's it. A fully bona fide granddad.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, it's funny because you've got on your thing there, on your notes, feeling behind at the allotment. Now, a couple of years ago, I said I was cutting back. I think I'm going to just cut back, not myself, but like maybe doing YouTube on the allotment just to kind of, and I'm not that cliche, I want to spend more time with the family, but I will be kind of running backwards. And so me and you doing this is dead easy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know I can an hour, do you know what I mean? And just like press record and it's done. Yeah. Where you've got a plan, although I do quick videos up at the allotment, you know what I mean? You still got to plant the seed, so you've got to think like months ahead kind of thing. And that's, so I don't know where that channel's going to go. But are you feeling a little bit behind in the allotment, are you?
Yeah, so I've been absent from the allotment for probably 2 weeks, and I went up on Sunday. So it's been really busy, loads of stuff going on. And then Sunday I went up, and I just got there, and it was beautiful weekend, lovely weekend. Saturday and Sunday, absolutely marvelous. I was like, right, Sunday, here we go. So I'm usually up really early, and I slept in for the first time in like forever on Sunday. And I
Right.
didn't get out of bed till about 8:30, and that's late for me. Normally I'm up at 7 o'clock, sort of thing, and I'm up and out and off I go. And I eventually got up to the allotment about 10 o'clock. Opens the gate, and I just stood there and sort of looked, and I went, there's a lot to do here. And I think for the first time this year, I felt behind.
Right.
Like, because I had some onion sets with this to put in, and I had some broad beans that I'd done that I was putting in. And I'm putting them in, and I'm just looking about and that, and I'm like, I've put so much, because normally over winter, I'll get everything done. And then just all of a sudden, I don't know why, I just felt this sort of like, not overwhelmed as such, but just thinking, I've got so much to do. And obviously Audrey's coming in. When is she due? Is the end of this month? No, next month.
No, it can't be this month.
April.
Oh, it's got to be April,
Aye.
sometime in April.
And
Yeah.
it's like, you think, the Queen's coming. It needs to be.
Oh, it's got to be a certain standard, or there'll be.
It's got to be a standard for Audrey to see it. You can't just have the riffraff sort of knocking about and that. And like you say, the filming takes a. If I didn't film, I'd get so much more done. And I try to film. I'm always paranoid when other people are about. So if there's other people at the allotment, because I don't want to think I'm annoying. Like that, I'm like, hi, and I'm holding my camera and that. Maybe going like, what an arse. I'm like, I try not to.
No, I totally get it. Do you know what I mean? Or I kind of, sometimes I go quieter. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's not right as well. Do you know what I mean? But I fancy just like using the garden, just planting stuff without worrying about a camera. Do you know what I mean? Just seeing what that would be like. But
what we're saying about I only watched it actually for the first time the other day. You'd said about Sean James Cameron, and he has his live thing on, and I was watching it, and I seen it. It was live. I was, that's what Tony said, and I clicked on it, and it was just him. Like, he calls it a homestead sort of thing, which is quite an American term, isn't it? Sort of thing.
For the clicks.
Aye, and I was just watching it. I was like, there was 200 people. It was just a random time during the day. There was like 200 people watching it, and he wasn't like presenting to the camera. He wasn't like doing like sort of, oh, I'm doing a thing, or here's a thing that I've done today, or anything like that. It was just him at the allotment, and he's just going in and out the shed. He's doing a thing, and he wasn't talking or anything like that. And I was like, this is quite. Actually thought it was quite good. I found it quite nice that he was just going about his business, just doing his thing, just sort of. I mean, if he picked his nose or scratched his arse or something like that,
that's the kind of thing. I've knocked mine off because I never really mind, because you can see like either side, you can see like, and there's quite a number of times where the kind of dogs are crapping, and it's just like, that's not what people want to see, man. Do you know what I mean? Or it's me in my pajamas and my sliders picking up dog, picking up dog shit. And I'm thinking, we'll be at a bit. We'll be at a bit.
Like the OnlyFans. There's a niche you found there, Tony.
I think though, with like kind of feeling like behind, you get that in all walks. You know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, even you decorate a house or one room, you walk in, you think, because it's like say decorating a room, it's the prep. That's what overwhelms me. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, Melanie's brilliant at just like taking everything out, putting everything, setting it. I'm like a princess when it comes to the decorating. It's got to be perfect, empty. But it's just like, if you've got to like prep. And sand down wood, you know what I mean?
No thanks, no. But I was about the allotment as well. I remember, I think you were the same as me last year. I ended up with a couple of empty beds, like just a couple of beds that had nothing in it. Now this year, Ian had sent me a load of onion sets, and I'm thinking, a couple of empty beds, I'm just going to stick onion sets in them, because like zero maintenance. What do? You water them. You give them a bit of food, but you just stick them in the ground and off they go. So I'm thinking it's a bit like the ones I put out the weekend there had already put in cell trays. So they were quite established. But I've got other ones that I've not touched yet. So I think next month, might just a couple of beds that I think, what am I going to do with them?
It was quite therapeutic for me just not stressing about empty beds.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be empty beds. Do you know what I mean? Because I've got
Aye.
a few beds, so I'm sure there'll be empty beds. Because just like I say, life's changed for
Well,
both of them, Mark.
I know, absolutely, isn't it?
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
And
I
you
was
front,
thinking,
yeah,
I wonder what it's like. I'm not being kind of personal, like, but you're now a kind of a single man, you're a single young
yeah,
fella, and I wonder if, like, because the allotment's quite like it's an easy place just to get away from the family to that.
yeah,
But now that's slightly changed for you.
yeah.
Does it still hold the same
I,
escape for you?
I think so. I think we talk about this at work sometimes as well, because like work's like it's full on. Like a lot of the time, we joke at work sometimes that Fridays used to be a quieter day and you'd get
Right.
caught up. Fridays are just it's just a normal day. Like there's meetings, there's all sorts of stuff on a Friday.
Who's putting the meetings in on a
There's
Friday?
meetings in on a Friday, and it's like I think we've all like when we're talking about it, we've all got different hobbies. Like some of the guys play golf, some like computer games, some of them do whatever you do to. And I think for me, it's the allotment, and you've got to have that escape because when I'm at the allotment, when I'm there, and I don't think I do it purposefully. I don't think I purposefully go there
Mm-hmm.
to not think about stuff or to not concentrate on stuff, but I do because when I'm there, I'm just thinking. Even doing the YouTube filming because you're focused on that. And it's like, it's an escape, is it? Because I jokingly call it my happy place. It's like, oh, my allotment's my happy place. Because when I'm there, and I don't purposefully, it's not like a meditation thing or something where you sort of purposefully do what's like mindfulness, don't they call it, where you sort of
Yes.
empty your mind and you just concentrate on the there and now. And it's a bit like that. And I say it's weird thinking about it because I don't purposefully not think about things when I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I'm there, that's all I'm doing, just pottering about, doing the weeding, doing you're planting out, you're doing whatever jobs you need to do or that sort of thing, talking to whoever's walking past or just pottering about and stuff. And it's just, I don't know, you just kind of feel a bit refreshed after it or something. Yeah, I'm usually knackered because I'm bending down and humping bags of
Yeah.
compost.
Uh-huh.
But it's just,
So
you just zone out.
what what's hit this wall, and why have you hit this wall when you went up today or the other day?
I think it's because I'd not been there for 2 weeks. I think because
Mm-hmm.
I had this last year. So always after Christmas is always when I start. You do Christmas, and then boom, off you go into December, January, chilly, blah, 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 getting everything going, all your seeds, all your little plants. And then I think it was the same last year that I got to about this stage, and I'm just a bit like, it's a bit. There's been a lot going on with getting everything ready and everything
Mm-hmm.
sorted, and then you almost need a second wind because you know yourself, March, April sort of times it really starts to ramp up in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like seed sowing, looking after your little plants, getting stuff planted out. Because May will be my last frost date's middle of May, so the next 2 months are pretty full on. I think for the
Yeah.
allotment.
Well, it's funny. I was looking at me journal. I've used that journal app on the
Yeah,
iPhone, and it was all like April, May when everything was going up. You know what I mean? So
right.
yeah, but it's I don't know. It is a strange. I think because I haven't done a video. I haven't been up there and I got
Yeah,
a text off another Mark from the allotment saying there's some more manure there, but I just haven't been in. I think the longer you leave it,
yeah.
there's only one answer, Mark. You've just got to get stuck in, and once that,
Oh,
you know what I mean.
no,
I
I'm
tell
a
you
big.
what, I tell you what, mind you, Mark made a total difference to me, and I know people probably, but was digging.
All
Because
right, yeah,
I would get stressed at the kind of no dig because you can just see weeds, and I know that my compost is not the ideal. It's not heating up the temperature,
yeah,
so you get seeds in there. So it's just like there's that battle, as that mini battle going on before your seedlings go. Where I've just been, you can dig over a bed in a
yeah,
minute or two. Do you know what I mean? And it's like almost like a fresh start. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And then you've got to
No
hoe
bother.
and wee and that. So
Well, I've got two. I've got two sort of half size beds, I'd call them. They need to be dug over, and I've got one big long bed that I put brassicas in. That's still a one that I would dig over as well. So I think they'll get maybe that's my job for next weekend, next Sunday.
mhm.
Although It's the Carabao Cup final on Sunday, Tony. Newcastle versus Liverpool in the final.
Right.
So
See, I just funny. I was talking to who did I? Oh, I phoned up Mark yesterday to because I'm getting high speed internet now, so everything's like I'm
nice.
recording this in 4K, mother chucker. It's going up. You know what I mean? It's like it's 1 gigabyte down and
nice.
115, I think, up or 110.
Yeah.
And it's just, but I had to phone them because they keep on sending us a text saying, send your old router back. Well, I'm physically, I'm not now. I've changed it all over, but they haven't, I'm not going to keep the router. All right. So I was talking to this lad and he was from the Northeast, you know what I mean? And he was chatting on, but he was a total, and I always slip into this, you know, this kind of, because I honestly, I know the positions left back and right back and goalkeeper, and that's, and like, do you like, you know, which team do you like? Are you black or you red? You know, like, are you white or red for Sunderland or Newcastle? And you can just, you know, I said, oh, go on, Newcastle. Oh, lovely. What did you think about the match last week? Well, I just like, so, I mean, this was like 10 minutes into like a 40-minute conversation on the phone, doing certain different things. And the whole like other side of the conversation, apart from like the doing this, doing that, was football. Well, I had to, for nearly 40 minutes, I had to, you know what I mean? I had to like, just, all right, he's good, him. Oh, is he really? Right. And I just did not know if I was batting or balling. Do you know what I mean? I could have been naming cricket players for all. Yeah. I mean, we watch it if it's on the telly, but I certainly not up to date with like players or anything like that.
Sunday, Tony, this Sunday.
And I think I got away with it. Do you know what I mean? But there's a couple of times where he was like, right. You know what I mean? So
no, big game Sunday, 4:30, Newcastle versus Liverpool, and I can see in the chat here, Jason is saying Liverpool for the win.
Jason, right? I've just banned Jason. Sorry, Jason. See you in 6 months. Goodbye.
Although Liverpool didn't fare so well last night when they got beat off Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League and got pumped out. So
see, Mark, I cannot. You know what I mean? I'm falling into it again, right? Because you'll see the eyes just go. Right,
it's glazing over.
Paris Saint, right? Okay.
Paris Saint-Germain, PSG. I've been to their stadium. I've done the tour around the stadium before.
Have you?
Yeah,
we did a one in where Messi used to play in Spain, and that was always one of our regrets. We did like a bus tour, like a hop on, hop off the family, and we could have went and seen the match.
Yeah,
and we didn't. We just stayed on the hop on, and there was thousands like walking to this stadium. Do you know what I mean? So
Barcelona, Tony. That's where Messi used to play.
Well, that's where.
Aye. Yeah.
I mean, like I say, I support them, but I certainly don't know.
It's Jason saying I'm not ruggedly handsome anymore. The cheek of it. Oh man, yeah, but we'll see whether on this jovial by the time it's full time on Sunday. Because
so I'm guessing then you are going on the Newcastle front, are you?
Oh yeah, Newcastle side 100 up.
Oh yeah,
million percent.
Yeah.
But we've got a few injuries, and
that's what he said. The EE guy. That's what he said, and I was like, I know.
Oh yeah, Lewis Hall, Tony. Lewis Hall's had to have an operation on his foot, and he's out for the season. Yes, but then
Jason seeing excuses already.
See, Liverpool had to do extra time and stuff last night, and Trent Alexander-Arnold went off injured, Tony. So it's a big thing. We'll see on Sunday. Right. I don't hold out much hope, but as a Newcastle fan, you've always got to be quietly optimistic. You never know. One of these days.
I've got you. You've got pros and cons as working from home. Now, we used to do that because, I mean, with my old company, Mark, the Northern Water, it was like a big control room. There's 12 we in doing shifts, and there always be 2 in. And then it was when COVID came, and honestly, they spent a fortune on this control room.
Yeah.
And then realised we could just do the whole lot on a like pokey little laptop from the kitchen table. Do you know what I mean? The desks were 20 odd grand each, and we had
Yeah.
4 of them or 3 of them. Do you know what I mean? They came from Sweden and were up and down before
Nice.
up and down was
IKEA.
fashionable. They were just like, and it was a revelation, to be honest, like just to do the work from home. And but there was a couple like, and it's always like management like wanting to get you back in, and it was just like, what for? Do you know what I mean? Because like productivity is just exactly the same, better if not. You know what I mean? And it's just like there's no there's all right. And here is out. There's you do get to see chat people. So you get that, you know, like for personal kind of thing. But I kind of see a benefit of like traveling an hour, stressing yourself up to go into, say, Newcastle, find parking, do you know what I mean? Then get to your office, then get back, or the metro's delayed or whatever. And it's just like...
You see, I think there's a balance. I think there's a balance to be found. So I'm a big fan of work from home. I work from home the majority of the time. But like up until COVID, like work from home was a really rare thing. It was only like every now and again you'd do a work from home day. And I think back, and I think it's weird to think that I used to get out of bed at 5:30 to beat the traffic into Edinburgh. You'd work there all day, and you'd come home, and it's like that was just normal. You'd never think anything else of it. You'd never think anything. But now, like I think now, I couldn't go back to being 5 days in an office unless someone was going to pay me some stupid amount of money. I would value my work-life balance, I think, more than how much you get paid these days, I think. But that said, I am a fan of sometimes being in the office because you get that chat, you get like the sort of the casual chat between all the people who are in. And I was in on Monday, so I was in on Monday there, and it was great. There was only 4 of us in our bit in the office. So we've got this big massive building. So the building I'm in, it's quite an interesting building historically. So it was originally built for World War II as a hospital.
Right.
And it was never used as a hospital because they thought on the back of World War I they would have more casualties than there was in World War II. So they built this building as a hospital and it never got used. But it's only got 2 floors. It's a big, long, massive building and it's got what we call spurs off either side. So if you imagine a hospital, you've got a big corridor and then they would have been the wards off either side. So we've all got our own individual spurs that we work out of. And there's like the building holds about 1,200 people. There was only 4 of us in our little bit, but we had such great chat just about stuff. And I think I've been making the point to some of the people recently, and it's not an ageist thing, it's not a generational thing, but I think I see it. I'm lucky that I've worked where I work now for like 18 years or something. I've been there 19 years, and you just know people and you know things. You know people in every department everywhere because you've worked there for so long. And like I think so much work used to get done in corridors, in kitchens, because you knew people from other departments and other teams, and you'd have that chat. And I think we've got people who joined us that have only ever been into the office like a couple of times, and it's like I think they miss building those relationships to get, because we don't exist in a silo. We can't just do things ourselves. We've got to work with all different people. I think they miss that sort of that skill, and it's not their fault. It's just the environment that they've come into. Everybody working remotely and things like that, and I think they just miss that sort of that ability to go and like not. I'm not saying go and make friends with everybody, but like if you go into somebody else's bit and you're speaking to them, oh, how are you getting on? How's the family? How's you got your holidays planned? Just that that sort of relationship building sort of thing.
See, that's a positive, but it's what gets me is when people ask you to come in just for the sake, you know what I mean? You've got to come back in with how we used to work. And it was just like, it just doesn't benefit anybody, that. Do you know what I mean? No. And I hear on, I listen to a few podcasts, that this chatter that you're seeing so good is also a distraction because you can't get your work done.
coders. I'm just talking about coders. You know, people are kind of working. So it's like always constantly. Oh yeah, you know what I mean? Where you can just do your happy focus and just get it done. So going in the office just for the sake of like management wanting you back in because they think you know, that's the that's the
But there's the one side of it.
Are you management, Mark? It sounds like.
Well,
are you the one that calls the shots for someone coming in?
I've got a few people who work for me, just a handful.
So is it your choice though that, you know what I mean? Is it you that says, right, let's get in on Monday?
Yeah, I could realistically go in today. 40 people have got in the office on Monday.
I bet they'll all get a text and go, he's bloody, hey, man.
Guy,
We're going to put that happy face on again for him.
But then there's the other side of it. Like, I think some of the people we've worked with for years and years and years, I'd call them friends, probably before I'd call them colleagues. And it's like, some of the stuff that we deal with, like, if we ever have an incident, we've all got to, like, respond like that. And we've all got to know our roles and be able to, like, trust each other, like, just implicitly trust everybody knows what to do and that they're doing the right thing at the right time. And we'll go out together as friends, and we'll go to the pub, and we'll have a bit of silly carry on in the office, and we'll play golf, or we'll go out for a burger, or we'll do whatever. And I think that social side of it, because of what we deal with, because it's so high pressure, if something goes wrong, I mean, it's really going wrong, and we've really got to be on top of it. Mm-hmm. And I think having that bond, like the core group of us together, for when things really go wrong, that we can just react and look after each other and sort of know what everyone's doing.
Jason really there saying he's got 54 staff to look after, and it's tiring.
You
know what I mean?
People take up a lot of your time. Like managing people takes up a lot of your time. Like from doing your job, you're sort of, you know, this is what I'm here to do, and then there's managing people becomes it's a big.
So where would you, if it was on your shoulders constantly, then Mark, where would you draw that line? In one day a week, or would you do, say, 3?
Well, we do 1 day a week at the moment, which is normally a Thursday, and we don't make it mandatory. We make it optional, and most people turn up. Most people are in on a Thursday.
See, that 1 day a week, that's, to be honest, that's probably a sweet job. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I'm gonna make it. I'm busy bringing in.
Don't spoil it. I'm coming to work for you. Don't spoil it.
I'm bringing in a monthly day,
right?
Where we do it on a Monday. So one Monday a month that is mandatory. So everybody will be in on that day. Yeah, and they don't get a choice. I'm afraid.
So there'll be like I say, a 1 week where you've got to come in twice.
I know. It's a hard life, Tony. It's a hard life. It is. Yeah. So no.
That's all right, to be honest. I mean, Mark, that's weird. You know what I mean?
Like, you look at some people. Like look at blooming Elon Musk, and look at that clown and what he's doing, and the way he behaves, and it's like you see that, and I think some of the private sector, because we're public sector, private sector's a lot worse. I mean, we're highly unionised. In our place, so it takes a lot to. You can't be bad to people, so to speak. But private sector is obviously a lot different, where they can just do what they want a lot of the time.
You get sacked at the drop of a hat. Do you know what I mean?
But the way he's behaving, like Tesla, and like some of this stuff you see about the US government that he's doing. What's his calling? He's in Doge, isn't it? After the Department of Government Efficiency. Obviously, he's got the Dogecoin crypto thing as well, and it's just. I'm glad I'm seeing it from afar and not being involved.
It'd just be horrific. You know what I mean? It's just like
horrendous.
I mean, you feel for them people that kind of worked at Twitter when he came in, knowing they were just going to, you know what I mean, some highly great programmers and technicians and everything, and they just were out the door. You know,
people sleeping people having to sleep in the office and things like that, and work until stupid o'clock in the morning. That's just
you'll not do that to your staff, eh?
No, we're not that bad. Not that bad.
There will be
No.
camp beds. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There
I've
will be
got a big
camp
cattle
beds.
prod and that, like, so.
It is that kind of work-life balance. Like, see, I've kind of crossed the line there now. So that's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just it's hard now to, God, to even think about doing it like a shift at my old job, man.
No, I think I think we're more aware of it these days. I think work-life balance, and I mean, I'm lucky. We are pretty well looked after in terms of overall package.
So are you kind of government side? Are you like?
Yes, yeah. So we'll call it public sector.
Yes. Oh God,
as
well,
opposed to
golden
private sector.
spoon. Never mind silver spoon. Golden spoon.
So last year? So we had a pay deal put in. So it's like a 3-year deal or whatever. And last year we went down to a 35-hour week from 37 hours, and that's a massive difference. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, 2 hours a week. Massive, huge. Because I can do things like this. I can come and do potty mouth without worrying about my time. Not a job bother. And it's like we've got a flexible working hours thing as well, so we can work pretty much any time between 7 in the morning and 7 at night, as long as you're doing your hours. And then you can build up flexi time. So if you're doing more work, you can build up hours to take off, and we can take up to 4 days a month in flexi time. So if you build up 4 days, you can take them off. So JB will be quite similar. So JB's just gone down to doing his. He's working all his hours over 4 days.
Yes.
So we get a lot of people doing that as well. So a lot of people will work their full 35 hours, but only over 4 days to get 1 day off a week. And it's doable. So there's loads of different. You name a working pattern, any weird and wonderful working pattern, and there'll be somebody at our place doing it.
Yeah.
But it's great because it's flexible. So people who have families, people who have like caring responsibilities or anything like that, we can be flexible, and that enables us to bring in really good people because we offer that flexibility.
I was going to say that's the thing, mind you. It's trying to get the good people through the door. If you don't provide, got to touch a man flu. Got to, tickly throat there. So it
was my turn coughing last week. It's your turn this week.
Aye, really.
As long as it's not COVID again.
Well, that's how like Mark. We like with bringing up our 2 kids because I work shifts, and because of the shifts, I got to see the kids growing up. Where some, like they're out that, although it's like say 9 till 5, you kind of, I was able to take Reed and Ellie to school, pick them up certain times, get the dogs out. Do you know what I mean? It was ideal working shifts. Do you know what I mean? It was just. You've got to work night shift Christmas Eve. Do you know what I mean? It was them ones right. You can't take them holidays. Right.
Been there, done that. My previous job. So before I moved to Scotland, when I worked down in Newcastle, so I was in the police. So we had that was an awful shift pattern. That was weird. That was earlys, late, nights.
We did
different combinations. But then I used to work for the MOD, and we did 4 days on, 4 days off, with 12-hour shifts. And I really liked that shift pattern. So you do 12 hours off, then 4 nights of 12 hours, then 4 off, then 4 days of 12 hours. And that was quite a good shift pattern, actually. That was pretty decent.
Ministry of Defence, that sounds a nice, you know what I mean? That sounds a cool job, you know what I mean?
But I see, I need to mention Jason's comment there, because he mentioned about Liverpool. I think we should point out in the chat, just so everybody knows, that Jason is saying man flu is worse than childbirth. So we'll see what anybody thinks in the comments about that on Friday, what people think. But speaking of that, there's a guy I work with who I'll not name. He'll remain anonymous. He's just had a kidney stone. And
right.
I think there was this chat saying that apparently passing a kidney stone is meant to be worse than childbirth. I mean, I couldn't speak on behalf of either of those things. But yeah, he was getting like ultrasound sort of thing. I think they fire ultrasound through wherever that helps to break it down, and then it becomes small enough to pass. And there's only one way it's coming out the front door. And I think that's going to be They were telling us about it. I was just like, or
Well, it's funny when I went in for mine, the operation there, I also remember the surgeon say, you know, we'll do it and it'll be, but he says, you're in for a rough ride. And it's like, you know, all right. And then you wake up and you think, well, not too bad. You know what I mean? But it's only like 2 weeks later that the world's falling in on you and you're kind of, you know what I mean? It's just like, so.
No, that's when I had my operation. That's the only operation I've ever had, that one on my back. And it's like, oh, it's microsurgery now, you know. I tell you what, when you wake up, I was like, I remember the one thing that I had to make sure you could do, and that was go to the loo. That was quite a funny experience because you know, the nurse brings you a thing, and you're in your bed, and you get up, and you put the curtain around, and that. It must have been the biggest pee I've ever done in my life, honestly. It's just like, are you finished yet? No, I'm still going. And then, but I felt so frail. Like afterwards,
oh God, aye.
I had the physiotherapist came along, and I had to be able to walk down the corridor and up the stairs.
Aye, yes, I had to do stairs.
I was like this little old man just creeping down the corridor. I was taking tiny little steps, and I felt so vulnerable, so frail, and like it was weird because you just had this tiny little incision in my back, but. Honestly, I don't know whether it's the anaesthetic or whether the whole thing or what, but I was...
No, Mark, that's exactly... I had, like, the steps to woke up, and I did about 4 or 5, and he was quite happy. So, and this was, like, the same day I was getting discharged, that I had to pass that test. Melanie came, and I says, where you parked? Oh, I'm just in the car. Right, I says, come on. So she carried me bags, and I was just kind of... I got downstairs from the lift, downstairs, and I says, Melanie, I cannot... I'm just going to sit here. Do you know what I mean? And she had to, you know, get the car. And it's always like you're nervous, you know, when you take them into the kind of where the ambulance park kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, hurry up, I'm on like red lines here. You know what I mean? And even going for like dog walks. Do you know what I mean? Because they said, get out there, you know what I mean? It was just like 400 yards. And it was like, and luckily, where we walk the dogs along the coast cliffs, we've got all them seats. You know where you see seats, and it's like dedicated to Mary, 1918 to 1978 kind of thing. So there's loads of these seats there. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'll sit on that one, and I'm going to aim for that third one down there. You know what I mean?
Oh man, but it's. I remember the drive home as well. I remember sitting in the car because I wasn't allowed
bloody bump.
Was I not allowed? I was only allowed to sit up for like 20 minutes. Other than that, I had to lie for like 2 weeks or whatever. I had to be lying flat on my back like that. And then eventually you're allowed to. And I remember I couldn't get out of bed normally. Like I wasn't allowed to sort of mind it. I said last week it's like a jam donut at your disc. So I wasn't allowed to sort of compress it.
Right.
So I had to get out of bed, I had to roll onto my side, like swing my feet around and sort of roll out kind of thing. Oh man, and that was weeks doing that. Fuck, I remember it now. It was, and then just my wee old man steps, just sort of.
No. I tell you what, the freakiest thing for me was, Mark. Oh, one of the freakiest things. Did you ever have the night sweats? Have you ever heard of the night sweats?
Yeah, I've never had them though.
No, it's just bizarre because I had to sleep in Reed's room. Reed was obviously must have been down in Bristol, and I was in Reed's room, and Melanie made it all lovely and that. And I would go to bed at like 7 o'clock at night. I think I just stayed in the room for a fortnight or something. But I would like be there and like it's 8 o'clock night time. I think I'll try and get to sleep, and I'd wake up, you know, and I'd go to bed fine, you know, covers over, kind of, you know, and I had to sleep kind of on back, you know, for a while. But you'd wake up sweating, like literally, like the pillar. You could see the wet, and it was just like, but it was happening, kept on happening, and it was like, I'm not sweating, man. Why am I sweating just when I sleep? And someone said, "Oh, it's like night sweats." I was like, bizarre, honestly, like childbirth. No, anyone that's got to go through kind of, I mean. Thank God we've got the National Health Service, but if you've got to go through a rough ride, you know what I mean? It's just...
And I don't think you realise it. I don't think you appreciate it till you've been through something. Like, you can kind of think, oh, that's pretty bad, that's grim, you know, but then until you actually go through it or deal with it, then you don't really get it, do you? You don't really feel it. I don't think.
Just bloody. I just honestly was like head in the clouds before. You know what I mean? Just like, and then it just happens. And I remember like they said, I think I've probably mentioned this. Your stomach will extend. They said your stomach will really extend after the operation the first week. Mark, it was like you know them balls you see for yoga, bouncy balls. That was like and I was like, it was less like it was taut. It was like a drum.
Yeah.
And they say, if you fart, you're on the right tracks, and it'll, you know what I mean, it'll kind of, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear your bowels, you know, it's the best sound urologist team can hear. It was like farting, because they use part of your, I think it's part of your intestine or whatever, to do the stoma bit. Do you know what I mean? So it's like what kind of pops out of you. So I just could not fart. You know, I can fart for England now. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I can tunes and everything. So they had to put this fucking pipe through my nose into my stomach.
Tony.
And I honestly thought it was like, and they said, we'll drain it. We'll get all this like bile, which is kind of part of the, everyone's having a tea now at 7 o'clock, Mark. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna leave the fish. I'm not having the, I'll just leave me tea. But like, they put this thing in, they said, oh yes, you can see it filling up. Right, we'll leave, and I was thinking, right, they'll just pull it out. And no, she said, I said, right, we'll give that about a week. We'll leave that in there for a week. So I had this tube in like for a week in hospital, and I was just like, you're kidding, man. And you just had this bag of like liquid mess on you. Do you know what I mean? I was like,
were you aware that it was?
Oh,
you knew it was. Man.
Even the when I had to have the little operation for the, you know what I mean, when you get the scan to pick up all sorts, you know what I mean, going for a CT scan. When I had to have that little operation there, which was a walk in the park, by the way, do you know what I mean? It was like easier than the dentist.
Yeah, compared to
like clear us and pass us, you know, like, right, you're okay. They had to put like a camera down my nose. Well, that more, you know what I mean? That was just like, you know, it didn't hurt or anything. It was just like, you could just feel this kind of,
going down.
Looking in you, you know what I mean? But it was up there going like,
jeez. At least it wasn't going in the other way.
I've had that as well. Do you? Because I'll tell you why. Oh, no. Well, might as well. This is a medical, you know what I mean? If any male at this, well, actually, it's female as well, because we, South Tyneside Council, and I always remember George Alagaya in Scotland said, you don't do it early enough, and that's why, bless him, he passed away with it. We get, I think it's 55, when you're 55, you get a fit, I think it's called fit test, like a poo test.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, say, for like bowel cancer.
Yeah.
So, and I remember I had that, you know what I mean? And we get that every 2 years. So it just you got a letter through the post, and then you get this little box. But in Scotland, I'm sure you're later at getting it. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you definitely have to do it. I know I've heard my parents talking about, you know, it comes through the post and you've got to do it, but it's important though. I mean, people shouldn't feel any sort of stigma about it, like the same as checking your old undercarriage in the shower or anything like that. Just do it.
You get our age, Martin. Or my age. You know what I mean? You're a touch younger than me, but I remember because it was a laugh. Do you know what I mean? When my wife, I said, hey, look, I've got to have my little crab. You know, you get this like little tube thing or a little stick in, and you put that, you know, you got to catch some, send it off. And I was like, within, I'm going to say 2 or 3, within 3 days at the most, letter back. Can you come in? We need to do an exam. And I was like, you know, it had the words cancer there for like bowel cancer. And I was like, all of a sudden, that joking went away. Do you know what I mean? That fun kind of time went away. And I remember, that's a bizarre thing to go through as well. You know what I mean? Because you like, Mr. Smith, are you ready? You know what I mean? That when the day of the thing, you know, you kind of had it like, if you just pop in that room, just put that gown on. You know what I mean? And come in. So you go into this almost like an operating theatre.
All right.
And there was about 7 people there. Do you know what I mean? Like nurses, doctors, do you know what I mean? And like,
I was like, you're looking around, and then there was a chap on a computer screen or a monitor, some sort of gadget thing in the corner, and he went, right, we'll just get. So obviously he was like the man. Just get you on that table.
Right.
We'll give you a little bit of like lube on the thing. It'll not take long. He says, and then we'll get it up there, and then we'll fill you full of air. Have you had it, Mark, or not? Or
No.
So I swear to God, it goes up like that. Not a problem, right? I was like, didn't feel a thing. And you got monitors everywhere, you know, and I'm kind of, oh, bloody hell. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think you could eat or you had a drink or something like that.
Yeah.
So it goes up. Then then they kind of push air into you. That is uncomfortable because it's like wind, but like, and honestly, they were lovely. The nurses were, she came and she was patting me tummy. She says, it'll not last long. And I'm like,
I can feel it.
And then, then I heard them say, oh, you've got a polyp. You know what I mean? So, and you can just see this, like, I don't know, I can't remember if it was like a lasso or something, and they just sized it off with heat or like burned it off. Goodness. And then they said, came back and right. And then I was thinking, oh, thank God for that. But then they say, it'll be 2 weeks, we'll get in touch, just to make sure it's not anything suspicious. And it's like them 2 weeks, Mark. It's just, this was before any of this nonsense. You know what I mean? It was just like, But again, that's, they gave you, when you had to go for the talk to begin with, there was like a little image and it had like, say, 100 little stick figures. And there was, I don't know, like, say 10 of them were green that would not get, you had no polyps or anything like that. There was about, say, 80 that were red or blue that would be polyps. And then there was about a few, say 10 that were red.
Yeah.
That was cancer. Do you know what I mean? She says, that's the kind of, she says, if you've got a polyp, that's our bread and butter. So she says, you'll be probably in that region of, and we'll just, she says, it's all the time, we'll take them off just for precaution. You know what I mean? And it was just like, but obviously some people, it is, when they catch them quick enough. I mean, the father-in-law had it and they caught him. Do you know what I mean? They caught the father-in-law. He lived till he was bloody 90 odd. He slipped. Honestly, I mean, it's like they caught that. He had bowel cancer there. He slipped when he was on holiday in Torremolinos or anywhere like that. Slipped in the shower. And they had to when he come home. He was complaining about this sore shoulder when he slipped. They did a scan. They found cancer on his lung. Just by chance, they went in, took a quarter of one side of his lung off. That was years ago. He kind of went through that. He went through. Bless him. His little motor just kept on going. You know what I mean? But it's amazing, like medical. If they catch, I remember Jason saying, I spoke to Jason on the show once. If they catch it early,
like, isn't it?
Yeah, just get it. It's easy to bury your head in the sand and that, and it's a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? The kind of.
Well, funny you should say that because I've got a little. I don't know if you can see it. A little mole sort of thing. Just
yes.
There. And I know it's been there for like forever. It's this tiny little dot. And was it last year? I noticed it a little bit different, a little bit bigger, a little different color. And I was like, all right. And you know how I noticed? Filming myself.
Right.
And then editing the videos. And when I'm editing the videos, I'm looking at it going, that looks different. And then I can see back through my videos.
Right.
I can see it changing. So I went to the doctor, I went to the GP, and as a guy, I just felt a bit daft, just sort of just a little thing. And the GP, you go to the GP, lovely young lady GP or whatever, oh yeah, got a thing. She, oh yeah, let me have a look. And she pulls out this like massive magnifying glass out of her drawer, right?
Right.
And she's like this far from my face, just like right here with this magnifying glass doing this. And I'm like, well, this isn't awkward, is it? And she's like breathing on me and that. No, this is pleasant. Let me take a photo. And she takes a photo and then they send it off to the dermatology people. And it came back and apparently it's just something to do with being old or getting older. Just like, oh yeah, it'll change because you're getting older. But that's the thing though, it's like it is getting it checked
Mm,
early.
mhm.
It was just, again, just chance because I filmed myself, sort of, on my
Aye.
camera. And I just seen it on the videos, and I'm like, that never used to look like it. Was just one video in particular. I can't remember which one it was. I was either editing it or watching it, and I'm like, that stands out more on the camera than it used to.
Uh-huh.
And then I had a look through some older ones and that, and I'm like, oh, because you see when you start to film in 4K and stuff like that,
That's
everything shows up a bit more, doesn't it? A bit sort of thing. So I was like, and again, I say I maybe felt a bit daft, thinking just going to the doctors and that. But you look at poor Steve, and obviously
aye.
he was called late. And then my pal John, who I work with, his sister passed away not so long ago with cancer as well. And it's like, if they catch her early, then so much better, isn't it? So much better.
Bless him. I mean, I don't know what I'm sure his wife said. It would. Anne said it was like the horrific kind, and not much would stop it, kind of thing.
No, I think his I don't know. Jason will obviously know loads more for the way it works and things, but it's the different stages, isn't it? And if it's in the primary site, like the primary bit, and if they catch that early, I think you've got a good chance. But
I'm sure my surgeon said I was T1, and I don't know if Jason might even tell her there. Like, I think T4's maybe. You know what I mean, kind of. Because I also remember I'd speak to my surgeon, and then he says, "Oh, I've got someone coming in who's T4," and he just said T4, and I was like, I was in bed with this freaking pipe, you know what I mean? He says, "You're T1, Tony. Don't worry about," you know what I mean, kind of. So,
yeah. At least you're here to fight another day, though.
I know.
Yeah, tell the tale.
It's a bizarre, you know what I mean? Like, because I was wearing, it always reminds us now, one of my T-shirts, band's T-shirts, is a Dead Kennedys one, which I use I use it for my pajama kind of thing. And that's where there was we're at the Dead Kennedys concert. And it was the first time where I'd known there was something up, but it was the first time where this is sore. You know what I mean? Like, it's like turners now, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm sore. And it was like, when it comes out now, I put that on and I think, if I hadn't done, you know what I mean? If because some people just kind of do block it out and not do anything, you know what I mean? And just, take a chance with nature kind of thing. But
men are worse. Men are worse. I think they just sort of like ignore these little niggles and pains and things and stuff that you should really just go and get it.
Well, we're here, Mark, to encourage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no official medical diagnosis or information whatsoever, but we're here to encourage. If you've got something, go to the GP. Go and get an appointment. Go and, But we'll not be.
Do you know, Mark, if you haven't had, I mean, you're too young for you're not, you know what I mean? What is your age for the fit poo test in Scotland?
50 now. I don't know if it is or not, though. I don't know if they've changed it. But I couldn't say 100%. I couldn't say definite.
Because I just know George Alagaya was one of his big campaigns. If he wanted to lower the in Scotland, you know what I mean, to bring it in line with the UK.
Aye. I don't know. Imagine that's your, I mean, obviously a proper stand-up job doing that, but imagine that's your job every day, testing like this big mail bag full of other people's poo comes into your laboratory, and your job's to do the test. That's
mind you, it's like
job.
It's not market. It's this like tiny micro brush, size. You know, it's hard to even see. It's got bristles on it, so you just need to get in the. Now this will put you off. You just need a smear of it on you.
Oh, Tony.
Was that the wrong word? Love!
As long as you don't get it mixed up with your interdental brush or something like that. You wouldn't want to make that mistake. You would do that once and once only.
Oh, God.
I don't know.
That's right. That's enough medical advice. I think we've given, you know what I mean, everyone there. We can kind of move on from that.
I know. There was one thing, actually, Tony, that you made me cough now. It's nudged down the little list, and I put this on the other week there, and it might not make much sense to you on the list. and it says Issey Miyake, Steve Jobs.
Yes.
So
It's been on for a while, that note.
Yeah.
Then we'll never get down to it, Mark.
But I think now's the time. Now's the time to mention it. That mind, I was talking about aftershaves, a bit of male grooming, a bit of sort of. I like my aftershaves, and Issey Miyake is my favourite one. So Issey Miyake was a Japanese fashion designer. Like a lot of fashion designers, they branch out into aftershaves. So L'Odyssey, it's called, is my aftershave. I said, and after we talked about it, I thought, I don't actually know a lot about Issey Miyake. You know, I love the aftershave. So I Google it. Issey Miyake. Do you know what Issey Miyake designed as a famous fashion designer? Steve Jobs' famous polo neck.
Right.
I thought you'd like that.
No, I didn't. Right.
Apple fan.
Because that's what he wore, didn't he? He had just like reams of them hanging up. He just kind of wore that.
So when Issey Miyake was coming to sort of fashion stardom, worked with Steve Jobs, designed the famous turtleneck polo.
Turtleneck, yeah.
Sort of thing, yep. So Issey Miyake designed that, and I thought, I must tell Tony about that. I thought, I tell Tony after I mentioned the aftershave that he designed the very famous Steve Jobs turtleneck.
So is that your kind of... Because you should really have two aftershaves, Mark, a daytime and a nighttime.
Well, I've got about half a dozen upstairs on the shelf.
Right. Which one's the nighttime?
Well,
of late.
I've just got a new one, actually. I've just got a new one. It's called Oud by Tom Ford, and it's beautiful. It's lovely.
Man, if it's anything by Tom Ford, they're a fortune.
It wasn't too bad. I got a deal, Tony. There's always a deal. There's always a deal that we had. It's a very masculine fragrance. It's a very woody sort of masculine one. Issey Miyake's L'Odyssey is very citrusy, very fresh, very daytime fragrance. But I've got a Jean-Paul Gaultier one that's a really good nighttime one. That's the business. Whereas I've got my everyday one, my Hugo Boss, that maybe if I'm going to the office, I'd just give it and then go in sort of thing. So
I forget what mine's something bomb. What's mine called? The nighttime one.
Karate.
High karate and kuros.
Brute on the old brute, the green bottle, like the sort of
flower bomb or something, or it's in the shape of a hand grenade. I forget what it's called now.
Nice.
It's a nighttime one, and I've got actually a Boss one.
Yeah,
Explorer. It's called. Lovely. Marion's here there for the female side. Telling we need to try the Joe Malone guys. I think Joe Malone's.
I've had Joe Malone before. So Joe Malone makes gender neutral fragrances. So fragrances that can be worn by a man or a woman. And I had one, and it was a bit too perfumey for me.
Right.
It was a bit too floral. Like I like the citrusy ones, I like the woody ones. It was a bit too floral for me, but I've tried Joe Malone. I've tried it.
Right.
It was a bit.
Thank you, Marion. We're trying to get this young lad, you know what I mean, get it kind of sorted out there. So he needs to, you know.
I wouldn't mind if I even shaved, but you know.
Well, I haven't for a while. You mean we've just been on like tenterhooks, so.
No, well, I've got the wedding on Friday, so I'm starting to get ready.
So the speech is wrote?
It's written. I've been practicing it. Last few nights I've been practicing it. So the speech is done.
How long does it go on for?
About 5 to 6 minutes. That I think is probably just about right. I think because I don't want to be because I'm the only thing between my speech and everybody getting their dinner. So I don't want to be so.
You said that last time. It's just like
I've been up there for ages, and obviously every time I tell a joke, there's going to be a delay with the raucous laughter and everybody rolling around.
You've got to wait. You've got to let the house settle down, Mark, before you hit them with another classic.
So it's going to go on for hours, really. But no, I probably because I practice in the house. When I'm practicing in the house, I'm trying to speak slowly when I'm doing it. But I think when you're up there with a microphone and there's like 100 people watching you, you'll be a bit quicker, I think. So probably
So just
5 to 6 minutes, I reckon.
Well, then, right. The first two sentences of your speech, Let's hear them now. The first two, without any paper, looking at any paper or anything like that.
Well, actually, yes, I can tell you because. So there's a whole thing about you don't introduce yourself to the second paragraph.
All right.
I've got a bit of a thing going on first of all, so I can say it because by the time people are watching this on Friday, it'll be done and dusted. I'll have said my speech. So the first bit
when this comes out on Friday, we're recording on Wednesday. If anyone at where's can you see me clock? You can't see me clock. Right, how are you then? Let's have the first couple of lines.
If I can remember it, because I'm going to read it.
I hope you can remember it.
So I'm going to have to. I'm on the computer now though, so I could just open it up.
No, that's just.
Oh, I don't know. It's because it's
Are you mentioning someone's name then? Are you?
No. I'm trying something a little bit different. So should I do it? Let me do it.
Two or one line, so you don't get. You know what I mean?
Well, no, because you need the first couple of lines because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. Because I'm getting people to do a thing, like a little bit of an activity sort of thing. So here it goes. So
it's going to be a bloody train crash. This.
Right. So here it goes. So I'd like to start this speech off with a little bit of a practical activity. What I'd like you to do is at your tables, those of you who are here with partners, husbands, wives, etc., is to look the man in your life in his eyes. And then just take a minute to remember that Mark has decided I'm the best man in the room. There you go. That's my opening gambit. The team's also called Mark. So.
You read that from the screen, though. I'm sure there. It wasn't from ad lib.
Well, I had it open already on the.
Right.
It's on my laptop. That's what I use for.
Because you're gonna. I think you said you're going to do as well. You're going to have it on your phone as well, are you? Or
I'm going to print it out. So I think I've seen people on obviously in research and stuff. I've seen people reading from phones and that, and I'm going to do it on a bit of paper. I think on a phone it doesn't look great. So
you know what would be funny about if it was like just scrunched up, you know what I mean, like creased kind of, and you're like, I've got something here, you know what I mean? It's just like, right, here we go.
I haven't decided if I'm going to do this yet or not. So I thought about. So it's about 3 sides of A4 long. That sounds bad, but I've got it spaced out. And I've got the font quite big, so I can read it easily when I'm doing it. But you know how I've got a line in there saying about my name is Mark, blah 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 blah, and then I go on to say I'll try not to take up too much time because I'm aware I'm the only thing between you and your dinner. But what I thought about doing was having loads of bits of paper sellotaped together, and then at that moment, sort of letting it go.
Yeah.
This big long thing like that sort of thing. But I didn't know whether to do that or not. I wasn't sure whether to have a prop to do it.
That'll be fab. So next week. We'll get to find out, you know what I mean, how it went, and you know what I mean, if you kind of died on your feet or you were fantastic.
And then last night we picked up all the kilts, all the regalia, and I went and tried it all on last night to make sure it's still fitted from being measured up. So
still fits, does it? Not a little bit tight?
Fits, yep. I'm still the same size I was about a month ago, so it's still fits, all good to go. So shirt, waistcoat, jacket, kilt, socks, shoes, sporran, pocket square, tie, flashes, scheme do, buttonhole, kilt pin.
Wow.
Full works.
Wow.
The question is, what do you wear under your kilt though, Tony? That's the question.
I know. What does a Geordie wear under his kilt then, Mark? Because you're still from these hallowed grounds, you know what I mean?
Well, funny you should say that. So at something in Scotland, right, if I'm at an event in Scotland and I'm wearing a kilt, normally you go commando, right? No boxer shorts, underwear, nothing like that. Under the kilt, no bother. Because everybody wears a kilt. It's just a thing. It's just a everyday. You see people, you're in Edinburgh, people are going to events, there's pipers and stuff like that, kilts, and everyone's just like, it's a kilt. Now, once or twice I've worn a kilt to a wedding in England, and it's like some sort of great novelty where people come up to you and go, "Woo, what's under your kilt?" Woo, and try to do that, and it's just like, you just no. So in maybe in England, I'd consider underwear because people just think it's some sort of novelty to lift a kilt up and go, oh. Whereas in Scotland, it's just like normal. Like people just wear them, like at weddings and like if you're going to a black tie event,
Right.
like people wear tuxedo. Like a lot of people appear would wear kilts instead of a tuxedo. It's sort of that kind of
Right.
Kilts are incredibly expensive to buy as well.
Mhm.
They're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds for a kilt because it's like they actually sort of wrap around it twice almost, and because they're pleated all the way around the back, it's pleated. It's like yards and yards and yards of material that's used to make one single kilt.
So will you dress yourself, or do you have a?
Yes, no, I'll dress myself. Yeah.
Right. So you'll have two. You'll be able to wrap it yourself. Do you have to wrap it yourself twice round, or does it come where you can just step into it?
It's got two sets of buckles on it. So you'd line it up at the back and wrap it around first. Then the buckle fastens to your left.
Right.
Almost like that's sort of on the inside the buckle. And then the other bit, there's a big bit of material that comes out from there that you wrap around this side and then fasten to the right with another buckle.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So there'll be shirt on, socks, flashes, shoes, kilt, waistcoat, tie.
What about like do you have a hat or like one of them?
No
hats?
No hats.
No.
Sporran. Tell you the best bit about the full regalia is a sporran, and it must be like what is it to be a woman with a handbag? Because you can open the sporran, you put your wallet in there, you put your phone in there, you put your keys, you've got everything, and it's brilliant.
Does it fit a mobile phone?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mobile phone, wallet, keys, little hip flask in your pocket. Oh, marvellous, Tony. Honestly,
that'll be the kick-off next week's show. We'll find out how the speech went. That'll be lovely.
I know. I might even have a picture.
Yes, that'll be lovely.
Regalia.
Mark, we have been again well over the hour there. Again, that just shot over, man. Bloody hell. Mark.
Yeah.
Where can we find you, Squire?
Oh, goodness. You can find me at Mark's Allotment Plot on YouTube, Patreon, Instagram, and TikTok.
And if we can get him up there to work in the allotment, you might actually see him in the allotment there. But that's
maybe. Well, I might go tomorrow because I'll not really have much time at the weekend, so I might have to go tomorrow on Thursday. So we'll see what time I've got.
Well, Mark, lovely. It's lovely having you back here, there, having a chat there. It's good for my mental clarity as well. Just kind of offloading and talking. It is. It's fab. You know what I mean? So
it's therapy, Tony. Therapy.
Everyone in the chat, lovely to have you here again. Please, if you just want to kind of support, come over, join in the chat. Just sign up for Patreon. That would be fantastic as well. And Mark, I was going to suggest this. I forgot to even mention it. So. Do we have a name? Do we keep it like this? Thank Potty it's Friday.
Yeah.
Because what I'm thinking of is like the audio version, like podcast. Do we call it something else and put it out as a separate podcast, or we just keep it? That's what I'm being toiling with. You know.
So I think, yeah.
Because if it went out as a separate podcast, which is a lot easier to do, it the name would be like a bit obscure for people who thank Potty it's Friday.
If they don't know potty mouth, it might be a bit it might be a bit odd.
Anyway, that's for us. Listen, that's for us to talk about and like off, you know what I mean? Kind of. Actually, what we should do is have like a private one, and then I can kind of give that to Patreon as a little chat. You know what I mean?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone in the chat, everyone on Friday night, thank you very much. Look after yourselves. Doodle bib.